The last thing my mother-in-law said before she threw me out of her house was, "You haven't paid for anything here. You have no right to tell me what happens under my roof." I didn't argue. I didn't remind her about the checks. I didn't tell her how much money I had spent keeping that house standing. I simply picked up my purse, looked at my husband, and said, "Daniel, we're leaving." My husband didn't move. His mother smiled. She thought she had finally won. What she didn't know was that 3 days later, her bank would call her. And the question they asked would make her realize exactly how much I had paid for the house she had just thrown me out of, $48,000. But the money wasn't the biggest surprise. The biggest surprise was what the bank told her about who actually owned the house. My name is Rachel Morgan. I'm 42 years old, and for most of my adult life, I believed that keeping peace was the same thing as keeping a family together. I know now that it isn't. Sometimes keeping peace simply means allowing someone else to keep hurting you. I met my husband, Daniel, when I was 30. He was 33. We worked in the same office building, although for different companies. I worked in payroll and accounting. Daniel was gentle. He wasn't the loudest man in a room. He didn't need attention. And when he talked about family, he always said the same thing. Family comes first. I believed him. I just didn't realize that, in his mind, family meant his mother first. His wife second. Daniel's mother, Evelyn, was 68 when everything finally came apart. From the outside, she was charming. She volunteered at church. She remembered everyone's birthday. She brought casseroles to neighbors when they were sick. People loved her. But inside the family, she had another side. She needed control. She wanted to know where everyone was, what they spent, who they talked to, what decisions they were making. When Daniel and I got married, she hugged me and said, "You're part of the family now." I smiled. I believed her. I was wrong because what she really meant was, "You are part of my family now." And there was a difference. 5 years into our marriage, Evelyn's husband died. His name was Robert. He left behind a large suburban house, 4 bedrooms, a finished basement, a detached garage, a beautiful backyard, and a mortgage that was almost completely paid off. After Robert died, Evelyn struggled. Not emotionally, financially. Her income wasn't enough to cover everything. Property taxes increased. The roof needed repairs. The heating system was old. Insurance costs went up. Daniel suggested selling the house. Evelyn refused. "This is the only thing your father left me." Daniel eventually offered to help. So did I. At first, it was small. A property tax payment here, a repair there, a new water heater, a plumbing bill, a roof repair. Nothing dramatic, nothing we couldn't afford. And Evelyn always promised the same thing. "I'll pay you back." I never my husband's mother.
She was family.
At least, I thought she was. Then one winter, the furnace stopped working. The repair estimate was $7,800. Daniel didn't have the money. Evelyn certainly didn't, so I paid it. I remember sitting at our kitchen table that night, looking at the receipt, $7,842. Daniel kissed my forehead. "Thank you." I smiled. "She's your mother." He said, "You're amazing." Those words meant a lot to me, back then. Over the next 4 years, I paid more, $3,600 for the roof, $2,400 for plumbing, $1,900 for electrical work, $5, $100 for property taxes, $4,700 for insurance. Then there were smaller expenses, landscaping, appliance repairs, basement flooding, tree removal. A broken driveway, I kept every receipt, not because I expected anything, because that's who I am. I keep records. My husband used to joke that if the world ended tomorrow, I'd probably have a spreadsheet proving exactly how it happened. I laughed. Evelyn didn't. She once told Daniel, "Rachel treats family like a business." He defended me, at least that time. She just likes keeping things organized. Evelyn looked at me. Some things shouldn't be measured in dollars. I agreed. I just didn't know she would later use those words against me. The first serious problem happened when Evelyn decided to renovate the kitchen. She wanted new cabinets, granite countertops, new appliances, a large island. The estimate was $31,000. Daniel said no. We can't afford that. Evelyn turned to me. What do you think? I told her the truth. She smiled. Of course you do. I didn't understand the comment. Until later, she had already hired the contractor, and she expected Daniel and me to pay. I refused. For the first time, I said no. Evelyn was furious. You've been using my house for years. I stared at her. What? You heard me. Daniel stepped between us. Mom, stop. But she continued. You come here every Sunday. You eat here. You bring friends here. You act like this place belongs to you. I almost laughed, because I'd spent thousands of dollars keeping the place from falling apart. But I didn't say it. I simply said, we won't pay for the renovation. She walked away. That should have been the warning. I didn't recognize it. A month later, something strange happened. I received a letter from the bank. It wasn't addressed to Daniel. It wasn't addressed to Evelyn. It was addressed to me. I opened it at work. Inside was a statement concerning a home equity account. I didn't remember opening one. I called the bank. The representative checked the account. Then she said, Mrs. Morgan, you're listed as the primary account holder. I was confused. On what property? She gave me Evelyn's address. I nearly dropped the phone. That's my mother-in-law's house. The woman paused. According to our records, you're connected to the property. I asked her to explain. She said the details were complicated. But there was a recorded financial agreement attached to the property. My name appeared on it. I asked when it had been filed. 4 years earlier. That was the same year I had paid for the furnace. I couldn't understand it. I called Daniel. He said, I'll look into it. But he never did, or at least, he never told me what he found. And I forgot about the letter. Until much later, the final incident happened at Evelyn's birthday dinner. She invited 12 people, family, neighbors, friends from church. I brought flowers. Daniel brought a cake. Everything seemed normal. Until dinner started, Evelyn began talking about the kitchen renovation. She told everyone that Daniel and I had refused to help her. Then she said, some people only pretend to be generous when they want control. Everyone went quiet. I looked at Daniel. He looked uncomfortable. I said nothing. Evelyn continued. She thinks because she has money, she can make decisions for everyone. I finally said, Evelyn, I don't want to discuss this here. She stood. This is my house. I nodded. Yes. She pointed toward the door. Then leave. I thought I had misheard her. What? You heard me. Daniel stood. Mom, she turned toward him. You can stay. Then she looked at me. But she needs to go. My face burned. I had spent years paying bills for that house. I had brought groceries. I had cleaned. I had helped after Robert died. And now she was throwing me out in front of everyone. I looked at Daniel. He said nothing. That was the moment something inside me changed. I picked up my purse and I said, "Daniel, we're leaving." We drove home in silence. When we reached our house, Daniel finally spoke. She didn't mean it. I stared through the windshield. She pointed at the door. She was angry. She humiliated me. I know. I turned toward him. "Do you?" He looked at me. Then I asked the question I had been avoiding for years. "Whose side are you on?" He didn't answer immediately. And that silence told me everything. The next morning, I called my accountant. Her name is Karen. I've known her for 11 years. I told her about the bank letter. She asked me to bring every document I had, receipts, bank statements, tax records, letters, everything. I spent Saturday morning going through boxes. At first, I found nothing unusual. Then I found the receipt for the furnace, then the roof, then the taxes, then the insurance. I added everything. I ran the total once, then twice, then a third time, 48,216 cents, $48,216. That was how much I had paid toward Evelyn's house. I stared at the number. Then I noticed something. The bank statement had a reference number. Karen looked it up. Her expression changed. "Rachel." "What? This isn't just a payment history." "What is it?" She turned the screen toward me. "There is a recorded lien agreement." I didn't understand. "What does that mean?" "It means someone used the money you paid to establish a legal financial interest connected to the property." I stared at her. "Who?" She pointed at the document. "Me." I couldn't believe it. Karen explained that years earlier, when Evelyn had been struggling with the house, that she had signed an agreement acknowledging my contributions. Apparently, she had agreed that certain payments would count toward an ownership interest if the property was ever sold or transferred. But there was something even stranger. The agreement had been filed at the county records office. It was legally recorded, and my name was attached to it. I asked, "Why didn't I know?" Karen looked at me. "Because someone didn't want you to know." I called Daniel. He came home from work early. I put the documents on the table. "What is this?" He read them. His face changed. I swear. "Did your mother know?" "I already knew. We called Evelyn. She refused to talk. Then she sent a text. 'Stay away from my property.' I read it twice. Then I replied, 'Gladly.' That was all." 3 days later, Evelyn's phone rang. It was her bank. The bank representative told her there was a verification issue concerning the property. Evelyn said, "What issue?" The representative explained that a previously recorded financial interest needed to be acknowledged before certain property transactions could proceed. Evelyn became angry. "I own this house." The representative said, "Yes, but there is a recorded agreement attached to the property." Evelyn asked, "Whose name is on it?" The representative paused, then said, "Rachel Morgan." Silence. Evelyn hung up. She called Daniel immediately. Then she called me. For the first time in years, she didn't sound angry. She sounded afraid. My phone rang at 4:17 in the afternoon. "Evelyn." I almost didn't answer, but I did. "Hello?" Her voice was quiet. "Rachel." "Yes. Can you come over?" "No, Simon. Please," I asked. "Why? I need to talk to you. You've made your position very clear." I was wrong. That sentence surprised me. Evelyn had never said those words to me, not once. I told her I would meet her, but not at her house. We met at a small coffee shop. She arrived alone. No Daniel. No family. No audience. Just her. She looked older than she had 3 days earlier. She sat across from me. I didn't think you'd find out. I stared at her. So you knew? She looked down. Yes. She told me everything. After Robert died, she had been terrified of losing the house. She couldn't afford it. Daniel couldn't afford it. She knew I had money, and she knew I cared about keeping the family together. So she created the agreement. She told herself it was fair. Every dollar I contributed would become part of my future ownership interest. But then, and something changed. She became afraid. She didn't want me to have a legal claim to the house, so she stopped talking about the agreement. She assumed I would forget. And I almost did, until she threw me out. I asked, "Why did you treat me like I was nothing?" She looked at me. "I thought you wanted my house. I couldn't believe it. I wanted your family." She started crying. "I know. No." I shook my head. "You don't know." I told her something I had never said before. For years, I thought I had to prove I deserved to be part of this family. She looked at me. "So I paid bills." I continued. "I fixed things. I helped Daniel. I showed up. I never asked you for anything." Then I leaned forward. "But the moment I stopped paying for your kitchen, you decided I was selfish." She wiped her eyes. "I was wrong." Yes, the word hung between us. I didn't comfort her. I didn't insult her. I simply let her sit with it, because sometimes the most powerful response isn't anger. It's refusing to make someone else feel better about what they did to you. A month later, Evelyn sold the house. She couldn't afford it anymore. The property sold for more than she expected. Because of the agreement, my documented contributions were settled first. I received 48,216 celtals, exactly what I had paid, not a penny more, not a penny less. I didn't fight for the house, I didn't want it. Daniel asked me what I planned to do with the money. I said, "Something I've never done before." "What?" "Spend it on myself," he smiled. "What are you going to buy?" I thought about it. "A house." He laughed. Then he realized I was serious. 6 months later, I bought a small house near a lake. It wasn't enormous. It wasn't luxurious. But it was mine. No mother-in-law had a key. No one could tell me who belonged at my table. No one could throw me out of my own home. The first night I slept there, I sat on the porch with a cup of tea. I thought about the old house, the birthday dinner, the humiliation, the $48,216. And I realized something. I hadn't lost a family. I had lost the illusion that I needed their approval. Daniel and I stayed together. But things changed. He started going to counseling. He began setting boundaries with his mother. It wasn't easy. There were arguments. There were tears. There were days when I wondered whether our marriage would survive. But for the first time, Daniel understood something. Being a good son didn't mean being a bad husband. And keeping his mother happy didn't mean allowing her to hurt me. Evelyn eventually came to my new house. She stood at the front door. She looked around. Then she smiled. "It's beautiful." "Thank you." She noticed the small garden. "You planted those yourself?" "Yes," she nodded. Then she said, "I never realized how much you did for us." I looked at her. "You knew." She lowered her eyes. "Yes." That was the honest answer. And somehow, honesty mattered more than an apology. Before she left, she handed me an envelope. I opened it later. Inside was a handwritten note. It said, "I confused control with love." That sentence stayed with me because I think a lot of people do. They call control protection. They call manipulation concern. They call disrespect honesty. And they call silence peace. But none of those things become love just because you give them a softer name. Today, I still have the original receipts. I keep them in a small folder. Not because I want the money, not because I want revenge. I keep them because they remind me of something important. Evidence matters when people rewrite history. For years, Evelyn told everyone I had contributed nothing. The records said otherwise. She told people I wanted her house. The records showed I had helped save it. She said I had no right to speak. But the document proved I had more right than she ever knew. And when the bank called her, it wasn't just a financial conversation. It was the first time reality finally interrupted the story she had been telling everyone. Sometimes people only respect boundaries after they discover there are consequences. But you shouldn't build your boundaries around punishment. Build them around self-respect. I didn't want Evelyn's house. I wanted to be treated like family. When she refused to give me that, I stopped asking. And that was the moment my life changed. Because the greatest thing I received from that $48,216 wasn't the money. It was freedom. Freedom from proving myself. Freedom from keeping score. Freedom from walking into rooms, wondering whether I belonged. And most importantly, freedom from believing that love requires you to keep paying for your place at the table, because if someone makes you pay for belonging, you were never really being welcomed.